So, and his first commercial says, I'm still not allowed on some golf courses.
Yeah.
Like speaking to being a black man in the sport. But then fast forward when he goes to Oprah, it turns into him being a Cablinasian.
Yeah, Calibinasian.
So it's like he was stepping away from identifying as a black man. Why did that happen? Who signed off on that?
I don't think he ever really identified as black. I think Earl identified him as black because he had a drop of black blood in him. And son, in America, you're black. And, you know, it's interesting you bring that up because we did a podcast with Brian Koppelman, who is the creator of Billions. Very high-end, you know, Hollywood screenwriter and executive producer. And one of the questions he asked us was, both Jeff and I, well, you're two white guys. You know, how can you possibly write about the black experience for a professional golfer? And I said, well, when you spend 3 years in someone's life interviewing 250 people, you get a pretty good understanding of what he went through in certain parts of his life, whether it was something he said to somebody or whether something that another person observed. And that's to understand Tiger, you have to understand Earl. And Earl's background, his dad. I mean, no question there was racism in Earl's when he was at, Kansas State and as a catcher and had to stay in a all black hotel and in the military. I mean, Earl felt the sting of racism through his entire life, and he wanted his son to know that, whether it's Asian or a little drop of white or black, you're black. And Tiger never embraced that.
Right. That's what I experienced most of my adult life. So when I saw that footage of him as a young man speaking to, hey, being a black man and not being able to be allowed on some golf course, having to be kicked off and called names. And then when I saw that very first Nike commercial in the documentary, because I didn't remember it, I was shocked. And, I liken it to OJ. In that documentary, he said, I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Yeah.
Like the more popular they get, they kind of become, I guess, step away from being black or racially ambiguous. And I just want to know, like, why did that take place?
Well, because corporate America was selling Tiger as, they weren't selling him as, the black Jesus.
Right.
They were selling him as the greatest golfer of, individual golfer maybe of all time next to Jack, certainly the greatest of his generation by far. And, Nike, Accenture, Buick, all these things, Tiger was an image and an image of a winner. I think to his credit, unquestionably, he understands the history of black golf. He understands Lee Elder. He understands Charlie Sifford. He understands the barriers that were broken in order for him to walk on, at Augusta. And he's respectful of that in extraordinary ways. But did he relate to his sport as a black athlete? I think he related to his sport as somebody that I'm going to dominate the profession of golf until I decide I don't want to do it anymore. And, he dated Dina Gravel, his first true love in high school in Anaheim growing up. She was white, beautiful. Earl broke that up. Tita, his mom, broke that up. Not because she was white, but because she was an impediment to the plan, to the grand plan that Earl and Tita had for Tiger. Dina was in Las Vegas at that point in time. Tiger wanted to go to UNLV and play for Dwayne Knight, who had a tremendous golf program there. But, Stanford was where Tiger was going to go. And the breakup is, in the book, and you see it in the doc, it's because Dina finally decided that she was going to sit and tell her story. I mean, it's gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think now with Black Lives Matter and an understanding, a deeper understanding, and, I look at the NFL and I don't, I just think it's just more PR for the league. But when you look at some of the other things that have been done, extraordinary things have been done by NFL players and Major League Baseball players and basketball players, NBA. I think we're in a better place, and I don't know whether Tiger now. I don't even know whether he relates to his heritage more as a black athlete. I think he just relates to himself as Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods. Another thing I didn't understand about Tiger's story, why? Okay, he gets in trouble. The world knows that he has all these dalliances with women other than his wife. Why did his golf game suffer? Like, you've seen people go through turmoil and if in their personal life, and it focused them on the field of play. Why did it seem like he forgot how to play golf?
Well, if you go back to that, I mean, that was, probably the biggest fall from grace in the history of, professional athletes. I mean, I don't know any, OJ maybe, but Tiger's was you're falling off of Mount Everest. And you're,
because of adultery? Like, that's what I didn't understand.
Well, no, because of the media, the way the media played it. Don't forget when OJ happened, there was no TMZ, there was no Twitter, there was no, even CNN. I mean, it was 24 hours. To me, the doc that showed the reaction, the avalanche of people that jumped on the bandwagon to make fun of Tiger's situation, whether it was at The View or Howard Stern or, Late Night, Jay Leno or people like that. It becomes fodder for them. It's just oxygen for them. But for the person that's experiencing it, you can't leave your house. You can't go out in public. You are a pariah at that point in time. And so part of that is the emotional and the mental side of it. Okay. The other side of it is, he was breaking down physically too, because of, the man was a workout fiend, and he changed the game of golf obviously physically, with how he looked, but also his commitment to weight training and things of that nature. Your body only can take so much, and one of the people I talked to was like, he had problems with his foot, but then there's that old kid's song that, the ankle bone's connected to the knee bone bone's connected to the thigh bone's connected to the hip bone, to the backbone, to the neck bone. Mm-hmm. And it was just this cascading series of injuries. And, you can't play golf injured. Mm-hmm. And Tiger wouldn't rest enough because he just felt like he could, I could overcome it. Mm-hmm. What he did in the 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines is like, it's biblical,
Playing
so
injured.
Yeah,
with
a broken leg, basically. So I think his, to me, what he has accomplished, and we'll see now, as we sit here tomorrow, is the beginning of the PNC as far as the Pro-Am. It's the weekend, the father-son tournament. He's going to be back playing, certainly out of a cart. I don't know. It'll be. I don't know where the ending is. There's interest in a scripted series now on Tiger, and we have about 7 episodes that we've plotted out. I don't know what episode 8 is. I don't know what the final act is, and some of that we'll see a little bit of that today. But Tiger's, trust me, Tiger's whatever he's giving you now is a well thought out plan that has an end game to it. Whether he plays professionally or not again, I don't know. I can't see it, honestly, because I can't see him walking a championship tournament course for 4 days. Mm-hmm. And that's where can he hit on the range and walk out of a cart and hit a shot? He's doing it, no question. Mm-hmm. But a world-class setup at a major,